Look at that son of a gun. Oh my goodness. Talk about a football. My gosh. March is finally here and the bass are on the move. They're moving up, getting ready to spawn. And if you want to catch more fish this month, you need to have these 5 baits tied on. All right, so before we start with bait number 1, just let you know all of these baits, rods, reels, line, everything else, the links to these things on Tackle Warehouse are going to be down in the description. They're my affiliate links. But let's get to number 1. Number 1 is a lipless crankbait, specifically a red or chrome and blue back, chrome and black back, something like that, something a little shiny when there's shad in the area and stuff like that. But red lipless crankbaits have always worked the best for me. Absolutely an amazing way to catch fish. And what I like to do is I like to put it on a 7-foot, 7'3" medium fast or a medium heavy moderate rod, 12 to 15 pound test fluorocarbon, and a 7:3-to-1 gear ratio reel. The reason for that is you're covering water. It allows you to cover water really fast. And you can either slow roll this sucker, or my favorite retrieve is to cast it out, let it sink to the bottom, and then start reeling just like this, as fast as I can, and then stop it. So it kind of a 1, 2, 3 stop, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 stop, 1, 2. I mean, just as fast as you can go, and it just gets that reaction strike when they're not quite on. Best places to work this thing is around grass flats and along long points and parallel to things like parallel to the bank, parallel to the grass flats. If it's post-frontal conditions, if you get a cold front that moves through, a nice slow roll. Throw it out, let it sink a little bit, and then just slowly reel it back to the boat. My favorites are this Azuma lipless crankbait, the old tried and true rattle trap, the Bill Lewis rattle trap, and then the Spro Uruku shad. And I love this one because it does not roll on its side when you reel it really fast. The Spro Uruku shad, I mean, literally you can burn it and it stays straight. The Bill Lewis rattle traps is more for your finesse, for your slow rolling, stuff like that. If you reel it super fast, it turns up on its side. And then the Azuma, you can do anything with it, yo-yo it, whatever else. It's just a lot of fun. I've got a video I'll link right here. That's an old video, but it's probably the best lipless crankbait video that I've ever made. And you guys go watch that and it'll tell you everything you need to know about this time of the year with lipless. All right, so my next one is a jerkbait. And I have, since the invention of forward-facing sonar with active target and stuff like that, I have become really good at a jerkbait. But before that, it was my go-to this time of the year. Especially you get those low temperatures and the water's just starting to warm and the bait fish are still somewhat lethargic. This imitates a dying bait fish. Your jerk pauses, you let it sit, and it's just a great way to catch them. You can cover a lot of water with it, stuff like that. Since forward-facing sonar came out, you know, I'll set my active target. I'll find these schools of fish that are out cruising, chasing balls of bait fish. You throw it at them, and you can see them coming up, and you really get good at a jerkbait. But either way, it is just a great bait to throw. Now, clear water to somewhat stained, lightly stained. This was, I love clear jerkbaits, or ones you can kind of see through. Blue, chrome, anything that's a bait fish color, just a great thing. Now the rod that I'm going to throw it on is going to be, this is actually a Royal Legend. It's a dirt cheap rod. It's like 80 bucks or something like that. It's a Cast King Royal Legend. It is their bladed jig rod, but it's a really good jerkbait rod, 7 foot. I don't like to go any longer than 7 foot. I use 12 pound test or 10 pound test Seaguar fluorocarbon, and then a 7.5 or 7:2-to-1 gear ratio reel. That's it. That's all it is. But and the power and the action of the rod is a medium, moderately fast rod. That's key. You get those stiffer rods, you never get a good hook set. You get those really limber rods, you never get a good hook set. So medium, moderate, or a medium, moderate, fast rod, and just cover a lot of water. Now, places I like to throw this is over top of points and drops in the water, and over top of structure and around stumps and things like that. And you just literally jerk, pause, play around Play around with your cadence, play around with how long you pause it, stuff like that, and the bass will let you know how you're supposed to fish it. Again, jerkbait video right up here. You guys go watch it. You can't beat a jerkbait much this time of the year, especially after ice out and that kind of stuff for you guys up north. So awesome. Let's get on to the next one. All right, so the next one, I think I put this in just about every single one of my best baits for the month videos, because this is one that works all year long, but specifically this time of the year, it shines as well, and that is a chatterbait. This is specifically a jackhammer. I also like the new Evo from Z-Man and stuff like that. They're really, really good chatterbaits, but you notice the same color as a lipless crankbait. This is called Fire Craw, I think is what they call this color. And a 3/8 ounce, half ounce. I'm putting it on a medium heavy moderate rod, 7'3", 15-pound test fluorocarbon, and a kind of a 7-speed reel. I don't like to go 6. I don't like to go 8. 8 is too fast. It's just normal 7-speed reel. And I'm going to put a paddle tail, a matching paddle tail on it, or a green pumpkin paddle tail, or a oh, what are they called? Z-Man's got several different, called the Blade Minnow, and a couple other things that I like to throw on it. I just play around with that kind of stuff. Also, Yamamoto Seiko in either a green pumpkin or a color that's similar to this. I don't know if they've got one, but anyway. So the kind of areas that you're fishing is grass flats, points. I love to slow roll it on points, on hard bottom. I'm talking still feeling the bottom, but still feeling the blade go. Just really super slow. Bump it into things. That's the key to this, is you've got to be knocking or hitting things to get these reaction strikes. If you're not bumping into things, you're not likely to get that big bite that you're looking for. It is, I mean, down in Florida, up north, anywhere, I have had super success with a chatterbait. But the biggest thing is just take your time, cover water, but go super slow and try to bump into stuff, and you'll catch some of the biggest fish of the year on this son of a gun. All right, so the next one is one that if you get those post cold fronts, or you get a lot of fish up that are dead on the bottom, maybe up on a flat or maybe on a point, in rock, in hard bottom. They like to hang out that time of the year. And this time of the year, actually, the bait that this, or the creature that this bait mimics, is very, very active in those 40, 50, and 60 degree waters. And that is a football jig, or any kind of jig really, but I love a football jig because I'm dragging it super, super slow. This one I've got paired with a rage bug. You can put a rage craw, any kind of a creature bait that has a little bit of kick to the tail. But the kick really doesn't make much of a difference because I'm dragging it super slow. I'm putting it on a medium heavy, fast rod, and gonna have 17 or 20-pound test fluorocarbon. This is Seagar Tatsu. I've got a 7.2 to 1 gear ratio reel, or an 8.3 to 1 gear ratio reel works even better. So something like a high-speed reel. Oh, let's talk color before I talk anything else. So a green pumpkin with a little bit of orange works good in that clear water or those grassy lakes. A black and blue works really good when you've got a lot of stain, which a lot of lakes get this time of the year. And so those are the two colors I'm going to float to. I might get a red if I get a hairy, get an idea of that. Maybe they want a red crawfish or stuff like that. I'll grab something like this one. And these are both Picasso tungsten football heads. But I'm just dragging. Another thing that I do that I don't talk about much that works really, really good is, instead of dragging, I'm literally just casting it out. Of course, I got line wrapped around the end of my rod. I cast it out, I let it sink all the way to the bottom, and I hold the rod straight, almost straight towards the bait, and I'm reeling just like this. See how slow that is? That is such a key, is I'm reeling super, super slow. And especially on those hard bottoms, it'll hit something and pop up, and hit something and pop up. And when those bass hit it, they usually follow it and just pick it up and swim towards you. So your line will all of a sudden go slack. And the reason I love these Picasso jigs is because they have a light wire hook, and I don't have to hammer it home to get a good hook set. I just start reeling, and then I pull back, and I get the hook set. That's probably my most productive retrieve, is that slow roll. I'm also able to cover water a whole lot faster that way. But set up on a point, cast out, let it sink to the bottom, and just slowly reel it back in, or drag and shake and drag and shake and drag and shake. Just an absolute amazing way to catch giants is on a jig. So let's get on to the next one. All right, last but not least is a Texas rigged creature bait. Something like this Zoom brush hog or a space monkey is one of my favorite ones. Something with a lot of appendages, a lot of action, stuff like that you're gonna flip into cover. You know, that space monkey or the tried and true rage bug. That one will always be in my box no matter what time of the year. But what I'm doing is I'm going along and I'm flipping and pitching into cover, and you know, you see a brush pile, you see a lay down, anything shallow. See, these fish are moving back towards these spawning pockets. And so they stop at these places and they feed up and they take advantage of things coming by. So if you see a stump or a change, just a change in the bank where it goes like from rock to sand or rock to big rock to little rock, throw in there with this. Throw into brush piles, throw into laydowns and things like that. Right on the edge and the tips of those laydowns, those big bass will hang out and they eat something fierce. Now, the rod I'm going to put this on is going to be a heavy 7'2", 7'5" heavy fast rod. That's what this one is right here. This is actually the Cast King is soggy, just their frog rod, but I mean any heavy fast rod will work great. I like the 7 to 7'6" ones. You can flip and pitch a lot easier with them. 15, 17, or 20-pound test, I like to err on the side of heavier weighted line. This is a Seagar, a Brazex, because I'm flipping it into cover and stuff like that. I don't want to get, you know, my line broke and that kind of stuff. So Seagar Brazex. This is a Cast King Mega Jaws, a 7 2-to-1 gear ratio reel. You can also go to an 8 3-to-1 gear ratio reel. So you can get it back in fast, make another flip, that kind of stuff, or maybe catch up to them. Another thing is I want to peg it. I want to put something like a peg, or a punch stop or a peg on there, because if I'm flipping into that cover, if you don't have it pegged, a lot of times it'll wrap around cover and just get hung up and that kind of stuff. I tend to peg my Texas rig a lot these days. Just a great way to just flip into that cover and get those bass out. But let me show you a little trick with this Zoom. What's it called? Dadgummit. Oh, brush hog. Let me show you a little trick with this Zoom brush hog that I learned years ago from a top pro. I take these big paddles right here and I take my scissors and I cut them in half. It gives me a little bit extra. I do on both of them. It gives me some extra kick and an extra appendages, and just seems to get that extra bite. It's just something the bass haven't seen, just a little trick. You just split those big paddles into two and it really works great. But any creature bait, anything with a lot of appendages, anything that mimics a crawfish or nothing, you know, you just throw it right on in. And a lot of times you throw it in and it'll sink down past the bass, and then the bass will see it and they'll come down and they'll nose in. So I'll let it drop down and let it sit on the bottom for 2, 3, 4 seconds and then shake it without moving it. And a lot of times if a bass looking at it, they'll grab it, something like that. So Texas rig, great way to do it. But guys, those are my 5 baits for March. Be sure to watch the videos that I linked with it that I help you learn how to fish these styles of baits and stuff like that. I've got over 900 videos on my channel, and most of them are instructional. But like I always say, be sure to introduce somebody to fishing. Introduce them to my channel. Let me help you teach them how to fish. More importantly, get out on the water, go out and catch some fish, and have a great day. We'll see you.